to Mallet and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallet. This one makes me laugh. Steve, you know, you should really thank all of the stupid people that you've met in your life because it's taught you how far you've come in your anger management journey.
I actually think about that every single day. I have met some people in my life that I just wonder how they get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
It's, and social media, some of the people you see on social media, you wonder how did they even get through the first grade?
Especially what's going on, right? Everybody has an opinion. Opinions are like assholes.
Sorry, Mom. 15 seconds in.
Beep.
Yeah. And Michelle Lewis, who's terrible at math, pretty good at technology, but a pretty good podcaster.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah, I'm horrible at math, unless it's percentages at Marshall's.
Yeah. This is $173. What is it on sale at 15% off? Boom, she's got it.
I'm sorry I made you go shopping with me the other day.
Oh my God, I was so out of my element.
You
I
were.
do not like doing that.
It was really funny though. It's like, but see, I had a goal. I knew what I wanted. No, I could spend hours in there.
No way. After literally like 2 minutes, I was like, Michelle, I'm done. I'm
sweating.
Yeah. I do not want to be in here.
You did find out that you were the only male in Home Goods.
In a 25,000 square foot store. I was the only one with testosterone in
But
the
did you
whole place.
die?
I did not die, but it came close.
If you died, at least you would have died comfortably with all the knick-knack crap.
Yeah, it was not good. Hey, our guest today, Bama Brown.
I adore this man. I have known him for probably, maybe close to 15, 20 years or so.
I don't think I've ever met him. I think he's lived in Dripping as long as me, probably longer, honestly, but I've never met him.
That's correct. I met him before I even moved to Dripping Springs in my other life at Clear Channel. So
really?
He's good as gold. He's very genuine and his laughter is contagious.
Oh, that'll be fun. I probably have met him a couple of times, like at the post office or standing in line at a barbecue place or something, and just had a conversation and didn't realize it was him.
Checking into your parole officer or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That wasn't me, officer.
No, sir.
Shred Day's coming up.
Yeah, so we have our annual Shred Day. This is it our 5th year or 6th year?
I think it's 6th. This is the 6th year we've done it.
Yeah, so it's
right here in the parking lot at our office behind McDonald's, downtown Dripping.
And it's a free service that we offer. Mm-hmm. And you just come boxes or one little piece of paper that you want shredded. You can watch it being shredded.
Yep.
And we'll give you a certificate of completion if you want that. And
if you need it for your business or whatever. My 2 favorite stories about Shred Day are Keith Lee.
Oh yeah, well he brings a trailer. He's something special.
He came a couple years ago with 45, 50 boxes.
Probably.
And we got it all shredded. Mm-hmm. And no problem at all. He was like, is there a limit? Like, no, there's no limit. Well, I think we get about 8,000 pounds of paper or so per year.
A couple of elephants full.
Yeah, right. And then the other one is this woman parks her car way on the other side of the parking lot, and she comes over with this little tiny baggie. It looks like it's got maybe 3 pieces of paper in it. She's like, can I get this shredded? And we're like, yeah. She drops it in the little hopper, and she can I watch? And she watched the whole thing. I was like, geez, that's like where JFK's the plot was explained in there, or Hoffa, where Hoffa's buried, or something was in that little bag.
All at the Mallet Integrity Team Shred Day.
That's right.
You never know. I think our goal, we've tried to hit a goal, is have 100 cars go through, and every year we've at least hit 100 cars.
Oh yeah. I think we've hit quite a few more than that.
We were going to try this year to incorporate electronics along there, but a lot of the companies that do it, they want to know beforehand what we're destroying, and so it's a racket. So, but next year, I think our shred company, they're going to be able to have something where you can do I think they said hard drives or something. I can't remember, but it's like going to be in addition.
Yeah.
I bet as time goes on and paper becomes more and more scarce, or we may eventually have to burn it for fuel, so we won't have
That's true. We'll have to burn it to run some kind of generator to charge our Teslas.
That's true. Maybe hold on to your paper. I don't know. But we'll talk about this a couple of times up before it's coming up. But.
It's probably, now when this comes out, it'll have been a week or so ago, but Queen Elizabeth II just passed away. And
there's 12 days officially of mourning there. I've watched a couple of TikToks. It's been very interesting. I showed you the one from Scotland about the bagpipes, which was really cool. And my kids think it's a total farce. It's a monarchy. They didn't grow up with the whole pomp and circumstance like we did also. But, just kind of reading her biography. I've watched The Crown, which I don't know if you've watched that, which I love.
That's a great show.
Love it, love it, love it. But I read a quote, and I thought it just kind of really summed up what you said something on social media yesterday, and just kind of what I think a lot of people who are mourning her loss feel. Yeah. It said, Queen Elizabeth II ushered the monarchy into a new and radically different era. Her reign blended the ancient and the modern. When she became queen, the country was still reeling from the memory of the Second World War. Her coronation in 1953 was the first royal event of its kind to be broadcast live on television. Right. So,
and the story behind that was, so it was recorded in black and white in England, and then somebody took the film and flew it to the United States so that it could be broadcast in New York, because there was no other way.
Oh,
it wasn't like now
that.
Where you could just send it across the internet.
Oh.
Yeah, they actually, so nobody saw it in the United States until 12 hours after it had happened.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. But so now we have His Royal Highness King Charles III, I believe. Is that the third? Right. But there is a lot of controversy surrounding him, especially in the next season of The Crown. A lot of these kids, millennials these days, weren't even alive when Princess Diana was around, and I think they were married in 81, I think is when it was. I feel like they don't understand the history. And, there is some yucky royal history with Prince Andrew and his association with Jeffrey Epstein and the cover-up that happened there. But I think this is going to be
Prince
interesting.
Harry and Meghan Markle, that whole thing.
Oh, God, what a hot mess. The woke couple. And, the Prince Charles, the wokest king, or Prince Charles, King Charles.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
The thing that I think, and I've seen some stuff on social media, which drives me nuts. A human being died. The fact that she was the Queen of England is a separate thing, really. A human being who was a pretty good human being, it looks like, passed away. So please don't say anything negative about her now that she's gone. But this was a young woman who was raised around monarchy, but she wasn't really prepared for it. It was thrust upon her.
She wasn't expected to be.
She was a college-age kid, and all of a sudden she became the Queen of England.
25 years old.
And the pressure that the whole world looked to her for guidance and how they should live their lives and things they should aspire to. And she handled that with such grace and poise. And so you read some of her older speeches from the 50s and 60s, she was always looking for the goodness in the world. It breaks my heart that she's passed away. I think she was the, when the world is filled with people like, LeBron James and, some of the football players that are they're all so full of negative, talking about how bad our country is. She tried to lift up people around her. She was always so full of nice things to say about people. I don't think you can go back and find anything that was said by her in a speech that was negative about anything.
No, and I think, what most people realize is she wasn't even in remotely the line of succession to become queen, and it was because of her uncle's salacious affair with, do you remember her name?
No, I don't.
It's Wallace Simpson, the divorcee from America, just like Meghan Markle. And when he stepped down and his brother took over, which is Queen Elizabeth's father, King George, and then King George passed away. So yeah, I mean, this country, if you imagine how many, I think it was Tuesday, just this past Tuesday before her death, they don't call it swearing in. She accepted or asked
the new
prime minister. I don't know what the terminology is.
15th prime minister.
15th.
The 15th prime minister there's like a ceremony where the new prime minister comes in and asks for her approval I don't think it's not required, but it's sort of this procedure that they do. But you know who was the prime minister when she became the Queen of England?
Was it Winston Churchill?
It was Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
The black and white Winston Churchill that was so long ago.
Even
People
if you
don't
watch
understand how long she was the queen.
Watch the autobiography of Winston Churchill, and it is so cool. I mean, I'm kind of fascinated with all of that stuff
history,
too. But
but people that are thrust into positions of prominence and how they handle themselves compared to the people that are so-called role models today, it is black and white, night and day. She handled herself so well. And some of the people now that are role models for our kids, it's embarrassing.
Oh, totally. Well,
things that they say and do.
Vulgarity has become a mainstream.
Tearing down other people, attacking other people. So we've lost, I said, we lost an icon. She was somebody that a 6-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl could look up to as somebody that they could say, that's how I should be a good human being. And it's a shame we lost
you
her.
Being Scottish, your mother being...
I haven't talked to my mom about it yet, but I'm sure she's devastated.
Did you guys have a picture of her in your house when you were younger?
No,
do you know?
No, but, I collected stamps when I was a kid, and all of the stamps from England had her.
Isn't the money with her portrait? So I wonder, does it change to
Probably.
King
I don't know.
Numbnuts?
How do you really feel about that, Michelle?
I'm kind of sad. I think it's kind of weird, and I don't even know what the heck's a queen consortative or
queen
consort or something.
Well, that's
Camilla.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's. We wish the family well, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, of course, they listen to our podcast on Dripping Springs.
Sure. You mentioned something to me the other day about car thefts, and it was intriguing to me. You said Kias and Hyundai cars have been involved in a lot of car thefts all of a sudden, and I thought, that's weird. So I did a little reading on it. It's actually true. There's been a rash of car thefts in Chicago.
So wait a minute. Can you imagine going to prison because you stole a Kia?
A 2011 Kia.
You're going to get your butt kicked.
It's certain model years. It's 2011 to 2021 Kias and 2016 to 2021 Hyundais. And in Chicago, in 2021, they had 58 of those two cars stolen in Chicago in the entire year. And in 2022, so far, not even a complete year, 601.
Oh, well, Chicago has become
gone up
Gotham.
10 times. Well, I know. But it's the reason that they're stealing those cars is like most new cars now have a little chip in the key and then you have a push button, so if the chip isn't anywhere near the car, it doesn't matter what you do. There's no way to, well, these cars have a key, slide it in the dash and turn it, and there's no chip in the key. And apparently it's like a TikTok challenge.
Oh, I'm sure. That doesn't surprise me.
It is. There are people on YouTube and TikTok and social media saying, here's how you steal a 2011 Kia, and they do some little dance, and then the whole thing is you're supposed to go, it's your challenge, right? Like what was the ice bucket challenge?
Yeah,
it's go steal your Kia.
Or the cinnamon challenge. Have you heard of the cinnamon challenge?
Yeah. Didn't that kill some people? Because they're stupid. Talking about stupid people. Where they swallow a whole teaspoon or a whole tablespoon with their cinnamon.
So someone's going to go to prison because they stole a 2011 Kia.
Unfortunately, the way that our prosecutors are these days, they won't go to prison.
They'll get out.
They probably won't even get arrested. They're like, oh yeah, you stole a Kia. Who cares? Nobody cares.
At some point, if the world keeps going Gotham style like it is right now, there'll be a line item on your resume where you can talk about your violent crimes and how many protests you've been involved in.
Well, the other funny thing about it is there's actually a class action lawsuit because they're saying that Kia and Hyundai didn't make the cars theft-proof enough, and so they're defective.
Who would ever think you'd want to steal a Hyundai or a Kia?
That's not the point. The point is, it's like if some guy walks up to my house and throws a giant brick through my front window, it's like me going, and not talking about him, it's like me going to Anderson and going, hey, these windows break when you throw giant bricks through them. That's not right.
Yeah.
I'm going to sue you for that.
I just heard something on the news this morning. Oh, I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it was New York or someplace like that. But a guy, it was a former Marine, and he was in a bar, and he saw somebody being pistol whipped, and he went and
say that again real fast.
Pistol whipped. And he went and put the perpetrator in a chokehold or something,
I know what happened next.
And got arrested. He's the
did.
one that got arrested. And then when the officers showed up, asked their lieutenant, why are they arresting him? He says, we need to make an example out of him.
No, that's been happening all over.
That's insane. I'm insane. You know what? What I heard from the follow-up to that is what that is going to produce in the world now, especially in the United States, is vigilante justice. And as a country, we cannot survive on vigilante. We've got to have law and order.
I agree. It's almost like going back to the Wild Wild West. But the alternative is, what do if you have some violent person that hates you in your neighborhood and they're making your life hell and they're breaking in your house and throwing rocks through your windows. And
I know what you do.
The cops won't. Well, yeah.
Well, vote. I mean, your vote matters. It matters.
Well, yeah, but
I know.
I'm not sure one's better. One candidate is better than the other. They all kind of suck. But I was reading about the rudest and nicest cities in the U.S.
Ooh, there's any of Texas on the list?
Actually, there's quite a few in Texas. So this was the rudest, and they use the parameters are people being absorbed by their phones, refusing to let people merge in traffic, being noisy in shared spaces. What was the other one? Was not saying hello to strangers.
New York or Boston. Boston, yeah. They drive horribly.
Not slowing down around pedestrians.
Yeah.
So what do you think the rudest? Let me give you. Well,
I think it's got to be a northeast state.
So I'll give you the top. I'll give you the top 5.
Okay.
Number 5 is Boston.
Oh, see, I've driven in Boston, Mass. And I was terrified.
Yeah. Number 4 is Las Vegas, which is because everybody's drunk.
I actually had a bus driver. Todd and I were on a Vegas bus at a conference, and he went over a sidewalk, and we swear we thought he took out a couple of pedestrians.
It's just another day in Las Vegas. Number 3, this won't surprise you, New York.
Okay, been there. Yes, I can agree. Honking.
This one surprises me. Memphis, Tennessee. Oh, number 2.
Well, considering what's going on in Memphis right now, it doesn't surprise me.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of crime and stuff going on. And number 1 is Philadelphia, PA.
Well, I've been there too.
And that's the rudest city in the U.S. by far.
I know the Philadelphia Eagles fans are pretty dang rude.
Are they?
They're pretty rude.
The only one that's on the rudest list in the top 10 is Houston at number 10. Houston is a rude city. So then the opposite, this is by a website called Preply, which I'd never heard of, but they did this ranking.
So these are the nicest?
These are the nicest.
Okay, from 5.
From 5, yeah. Same parameters. Indianapolis, Indiana.
I haven't been there before. Have you?
Been there either. No. Nashville, Tennessee.
I've been there.
Which is funny. Memphis and Nashville.
It's totally, Nashville's very much like Austin. Nashville and Memphis are totally, I mean, look at Memphis, right? I mean, that's where Elvis grew up.
Oh, that's true.
That's where Martin Luther King was killed.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah. Number 3, Fort Worth.
Okay. They're bougie.
This one I did not understand. San Diego, California at number 2.
Well, because probably there's a lot of, I mean, the scenery in San Diego is really pretty.
The weather's nice.
So where in San Diego, like right by the water?
Who knows? On the map, it shows it right there by the beach, but who knows? And number 1, Austin, Texas, friendliest city in the country.
You know why I think they're polling a bunch of tech millennials, that's probably what they're doing. And why people like Austin? Why do you think people like Austin, like millennial type? It's because there's a lot of outdoor activity, and if you're visiting here, you can stay at a downtown hotel and you can walk to the bars and to the waters right there. And so that's probably
Well,
why.
there's a lot to do. I think people don't feel trapped. There's things that you can get out and do.
Who has the nicest homeless people? I mean, do we do we rank up
That would be one I would like to see. So they also did, of those parameters, the cities that were like being absorbed by your phone in public, the number one place was New York. Not letting people merge in traffic, the number one place
Boston?
was Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis.
And being rude to service staff, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is on here a bunch.
Ooh, somebody didn't like Memphis.
Yeah.
They have really good barbecue. And they have Graceland.
Apparently it's not good enough for people to be nice.
I've been to Memphis a couple of times, but one of the coolest times I went was when we decided to take a driving trip to DC, and we purposely stopped and stayed in Memphis, and we went and saw where MLK was shot, and there was like a little museum there, and then we did the whole Elvis thing, and that it's a cool little city, but it's gotten super dangerous. The whole lockdown and the serial killer that was happening this week, and the runner.
You know what's funny is Chicago's not on that list. It's not on the nice it's got to be someplace in the middle. I thought Chicago would have been a really rough city.
I don't know. The areas surrounding Chicago, I think, are pretty nice. Before Chicago became, Gotham City 101, Chicago was my favorite big city because Todd used to go to Mundelein a lot, which is an outskirts of Chicago, and I would go stay in the Mile. And I would walk around on the Mile by myself. Did I tell you the story how I ended up at the Playboy headquarters?
No.
I was lost, and I knew before GPS, and I knew that
Hugh Hefner came out and helped you?
No. I was lost, and I knew I was kind of by the water, where the Mile was, and I just saw this building, and I saw a security guard behind a desk, and I went up there, opened the door, went up there, and I said, "I'm so sorry. I'm lost. Can you point me this way?" And he gave me my directions, and I looked up, and there was that big silver
the
Playboy.
big
I was like,
rabbit head.
"Oh yeah, here I am."
That's funny.
The Playboy headquarters.
My Chicago story is that I was there in February and took a car down to the hotel. Got out of the car, went into the hotel. Next morning, got up, took a shower, and I had come there from Southern California. This was a long time ago, 30 years ago. Had a hoodie sweatshirt on. Wanted to go for a walk, walked out of the hotel, walked about 50 feet. The hair on my head froze stiff. And the wind coming off the lake was just, it cut right through that sweatshirt. I literally went about 15 feet, turned right back around, went back in the hotel. And the guys at the front door were looking at me like, "What are you, stupid?"
Probably wondering how long.
They were like making bets. He's going to get 35 feet before he turns around.
That was me in Boston. I went in February, and Todd was working, and I thought, I'm going to go to Salem by myself. And I think it was like -7 degrees. And I have never been so cold because that water coming off.
Yeah, the wind coming off the water.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Well, what do you think we take a little break and get Bama in here?
I think we need to buckle up for Bama.
I know.
Because this is going to be
fun. You better
fun.
be on your toes.
Yeah, you better be on your toes.
I will. I definitely will. We'll sit tight. We'll be right back.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome, Bama Brown, the voice of Dripping Springs.
Oh, please.
Yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Well, first of all, congratulations on you guys doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you.
We are so excited. We're having so much fun.
You can hear it. It sounds like it. I was talking to Penny the other day.
Penny.
Love Penny. She and I have done so many parades and events together.
Yeah.
That was a great interview. All your interviews have been really good. I'm just really so proud of you because I've known you since
Thank you.
She was a kid in radio.
She's still a kid, Bama.
Yeah,
She's still a kid.
I was just a kid.
But you'll have fun, and that's what's awesome about it. And you're talking about our little town. That's cool.
Yeah, we love this little town, and I think we've made a little bit of an impact.
No, absolutely.
We're getting better. We are getting better. We figured that other people, we find ourselves so entertaining that maybe other people want to hear us too. Maybe not, but But we have quite a little following, and
Yes, you
we're
do.
pretty proud, and
Yeah.
we're so excited to have you on today. And you've lived here in Dripping Springs now, what, 23, 4 years,
something like that. Yeah, I came through Dripping when I was from in Odessa, and I worked for a pipeline company.
Okay.
And we were working the Phillips pipeline, and I came through here when I was 23, and I said, "What a neat little town!" And I looked like I was going to be moving to Ozona from Odessa. And you would think that would be a down, but it's not really. There's no real, you can't, it's just all down. It just gets more down, more downer. But you could live in Odessa, but the pipeline ran to Houston. So I could live anywhere from Ozona to Houston. And so I could have lived. So you could live anywhere. And as I drove through Dripping Springs, I went, what a great little town. And I said, someday I'm going to come back here and look at it. And so when I moved from Houston to Austin, the next day I came out and started looking at land and found a place and bought it and had it for years before Jamie and I got married, and then moved out here 25 years ago.
So you had it before you were married? Before you had,
So this is the land that you bought way back then? You're still on it, man.
Well, it's next door. The house that I built there, I built for my parents, and then we're in Harmon Hills, and then my parents were farmers in Alabama, and they never did make it out here, but sold that house and bought the land next to it, 10 acres next door. And that's where we built that house, I guess, 15 years ago, something like that.
So you're originally from Alabama.
Long time ago.
A lot of people don't know that your real name is.
It's Greg. Yeah.
Is it Greg?
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody call you Greg.
It's,
Does your mama call you Greg?
Yeah, better than that. It's Greg Thompson. That's what I really. But I always used to tell the girl at the front there, I said, anybody comes in here looking for Greg Thompson, he's dead, because that's either somebody with an attorney or somebody with a baby or something like somebody wanting money.
Yeah.
Somebody with a baby.
Does your whole family call you Bama?
No, none of them do. Well, Jamie does, but my brother is Greg, and my mom and dad call me Greg. But no, my daughter, hey, Dad, I need some money. That's what.
That's your whole name?
I've heard that one
I need
before.
some money.
Yeah. And were you a roughneck when you got that name?
Yeah, when I was I moved to Odessa from Alabama in high school, and then and my best friend. He said, he goes, where are you from? I was Alabama. And so it stuck, so it was Bama.
Bama.
So this whole radio gig stuff, it came like happenstance. If I remember correctly, it was a drunk Acapulco margarita fueled night.
That's exactly what happened. No, I moved here. I was in the oil and gas business in Houston, the valve business, and I took 2 Chapter 11s. I lost like $1 million in an afternoon. So I was like, okay, I'm out. Of course, my wife left me when I had no money. So I moved in with my best friend, the guy that named me. He lived here in Austin. I moved in with him, and I was living in a room. And his cousin was the program director at Z102 at the time. And we were at Baby Acapulco's, and they were just trashed, both of them. It's the one night that I didn't drink, and the Friday night guy calls and says, I'm not coming to work. And it's like 15 minutes till, now there wasn't cell phones. They called Baby Acapulco. That's how often this guy was there. So he said, you got to go be on the radio. And I said, I don't even listen to radio. I don't even know what you're talking about. He goes, no, just come down there. I'm drunk. I can't talk. And he can't do it. So you got to go do it. So they take me down there. We're on Lake Austin Boulevard. They put me on the radio, and they leave and go back to Baby Acapulco. So I'm standing there, and I'm nervous. And then I go, well, I don't even work here. You can't fire somebody that doesn't even work here. So I open up the microphone, and I go, hi, I'm Bama. I was in a bar 15 minutes ago, and now and the guy you normally listen to, he didn't get probation or something. Anyway, he ain't coming back. So it's me, and the phone was ringing. And so I answered the call live on the air, and I go, hello. And the guy goes, you're too close to the microphone. And I go, okay, how's that? And he goes, great, now shut up and play some music. And that's the best advice in 35 years of radio I ever got. If you ain't got nothing to say, shut up and play the music. So that's something I have lived by and continue to live by every day.
The first call was the best call.
I don't know who he was, but whoever he was, sir, thank you for the advice. But then Friday night became Saturday night, and then Sunday night, and then they hired Bo Chase as the morning guy, and he came in, and I was pulling all this stuff, getting it ready for him, and he said something funny, and I laughed, and he goes, come here, and he pulled the microphone down, and he said, whatever I say, you just laugh, whether it's funny or not, you just keep doing that. And then Bo and Bama was born, and then
Bo and Bama, yep. And then Rob, Heather, and Bama, or Bama, Rob, and Heather.
It was funny. When Rob came, it was Rob and Gary, and then Gary left to be with his family. But in that meantime, we had Julia Hilder, we had Michelle Roebuck.
I remember Michelle Roebuck.
Love Michelle Roebuck. Love Julia. You had, Julie Kay
Wow, I forgot about Julie Kay.
Julie Kay is now, and she got nominated for a CMA the other day. I'm so proud of her. Rachel Marisay, who's on LBJAM, love Rachel. And then we had Heather for 12 years, and then Heather got MS and had to take a medical retirement. So I was there by myself for the last 8 months, waiting for Wayne D and Tay, my partners I have now. I've had them 4 months. They made a mistake, but that's not my problem. Yeah.
Are you still doing this for free? Is this the gig that you're still not getting paid? They're still not paying you.
Well, there's me. It ain't show friends, it's show business. I'm always going to scrape a little off the side. But no, I was so thrilled to get them, and they're the future of iHeart and in our business, and so I was very excited. And the boss said, "You got about a year to make them funny." But
you're a radio legend. You're in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
Oh my God!
Yes, you are.
Legend, please.
Yes, you are. You are a legend.
My favorite thing about that, I wouldn't even normally, but Dale Dudley, my competitor for 35 years, nominated me for that. To me, having a guy that was best competitors, now
that you butted heads with,
just for 35 years, we just every morning against each other. And have him nominate me was, that was a big deal to me.
That was touching. That's really nice.
I love him a lot. So.
Is it a lot harder to break into radio now than it was when you got dragged down to the station?
It's funny. The guy Augie that used to be at UT, the professor of RTF at UT, he would have me come and tell my story to the salespeople, or the students that were going either into sales or whatever. There'd be like 300 graduates at UT, and he'd have a guy from college that had actually done it right, and then he'd have me tell my story. And the key to my deal was I never said no to anything. I mean, I'd had real jobs, and so they go, "Hey, we got this," and nobody in radio, they're all lazy, and I would always go, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
And so if you say it long enough, eventually they've run out of stuff to ask other people. They just go to you and force over with. Yeah.
But being a public figure for so long, there's things that I guess I'm trying to learn how to censor myself.
Oh, my God.
And, we're such a political charged world now. And so you really have to, I see you on our neighbor's page.
Right.
And you'll just say something and people will just come after you.
Oh, sure.
But,
well, first of all, if you get into something like that, you got to have skin as thick as it can be. And remember, Facebook is
fake book.
Yeah, and you're not face to face. You say stuff on there you would never say to somebody's face.
Without a doubt.
And it's always the 1%ers that always scream and yell, but I do a lot of different charities and I never see them at any of the charities.
Amen.
They never help. They think going on Facebook is helping somehow. But I always just come and, Meals on Wheels with me, or come do Coats for Kids with me. Do anything. You could put some time in. You'll get more benefit than the people.
I remember, and I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but this was, maybe was it 10 years ago when the concrete plant was coming in and you were actually sued for putting your opinion out on the radio.
That was a huge thing for Drippin', and I had a lot of people come to me. I normally wouldn't get involved in that, but they came to me. It was a group, and they said, "You're the most vocal person. You're honest. We know that." And so I said, "Well, I don't even know these people, but show me what you have." And based on just their information that they had filed for permits, they were doing a bad thing.
Yeah.
And they're a developer that is the worst developers in the world because they lie about what their intentions are, And so I stood up in front of a group. I was never sued for on air. It was in the meeting. It was and I stood up in front
the meeting.
In the neighbors meeting. Now, remember, I take an FCC test every 6 months. I got a good idea what I can say and can't say.
Yeah.
And I stood up and I said, "We know you're here. Stand up and just tell everybody what your plan is." They were there. They were recording, but they wouldn't stand up. And so I asked them 4 times in a 10-minute deal, stand up and just tell everybody what your plan is. They didn't want to tell their plan because their plan was eventually they had permitted for 200 concrete trucks at Bell Springs in 290.
Yeah.
Now you go there at school time anytime now. Imagine another 200 concrete trucks there.
Yeah.
So this was my problem I had with that. And I voiced it in that meeting, and I said, we need you to move west to where the one Lauren put theirs out there. That's where it needed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a commercial area. That's those guys who was totally fine with that. But where they were at was there on Bell Springs in a neighborhood. And that was unacceptable. And I voiced that. And they sued me for $1 million, and they sued iHeart for $1 million. And the president of iHeart, Bob Pittman, who invented MTV and invented America Online, he called me and he said, you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, protecting your community. And I'm proud of you.
Hallelujah.
And he said, I'll spend $1 million to keep from paying him $1 million. And I said, well, you don't have to, because I didn't do anything wrong. And he knew I didn't. They brought their attorneys in. I never even went I did one conference call with these attorneys. That was the last I ever heard about it. But they went to a hearing. They lost. And because of the SLAPP law, they had to pay $330,000 to iHeart for legal fees.
Wow.
And here's the worst part about it. I didn't even know who this guy was. The only thing that I did was call after I got served. I called his attorney and I said, I'm old school. Let's sit down and talk. Yeah. Because I bet we can find a better location. And it wasn't to do away with the concrete plant. It was just to move it away from this neighborhood. And well, if anybody's about construction, it's me, you know. So, but it was about paying cheap money for land and then buying land around it because you built a concrete plant here and ruining the value, you know. And so that was the plan all along.
Wasn't that plant going to be right where Esperanza is now? Where all those homes are on Bell Springs
it would have been across the street.
Really?
It's where and they went ahead and finished and built those beautiful warehouses.
Oh,
you know? But my whole point was communicate. Yeah. Tell everyone what's going on. We had 500 people there at that meeting. We will help you find a better spot. Here's the ironic part. I had 2 people call me the next day that had land that they said, I don't think this land has any value. This would be a perfect spot. But they were scared to call because they were afraid he would sue them. Because he had sued me. And he only sued me in order to try to scare everybody. Yeah. But that group wasn't going to give up. And all I did was I just outed what was going on. Yeah. Here's the information based on the facts. And you can't sue somebody for slander when all they do is show the facts. You offered a solution,
too. You said, hey, we're not trying to stop you and kick you out of Texas. Just don't put it right here. Move it someplace else. There's plenty of other land out there. Just don't do it right here.
Was that about 10 years ago?
Something like that.
Was it that long ago?
Might have been. It kind of went out of my mind. But I at the same time, I didn't know who these people were. Never met them. I thought it was a big group out of some place. But I was just pointing out the facts from their documents, and that's why the attorneys all were said. But with the sue iHeart,
I know
a $10 billion company thinking they're going to get somebody out of the yellow pages. No, that lawyer they brought had just won for the Wall Street Journal. This woman come in and she told me, she looked at me, she said, "Oh, I know exactly what this is. You don't even have to. You won't even need to go to the hearing." And I didn't. So
good for you for speaking up for your community and stuff. And
we need
I think
people like that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize, now that Alex isn't in school. We were just talking last week that, can you believe our oldest kids are about 2 years away from their 10-year high school reunion?
Isn't that crazy? Oh, it went by so fast, man.
It really has.
Insane. But along that time, you were really a real staple within the Dripping Springs High School. I remember a lot of the football teams, the football games, the auctions and stuff like that. I always see you around. It was really cool to see you. I would go to work, I'd see you at work, and then I'd see you out here in Dripping, and it was like I felt this real connection, like, oh, that's the Drip. That's the hometown Drip boy. But now what you're doing is you are building these homes on your property, right?
Yeah,
these affordable homes for first responders and teachers, and how talk about that a little bit.
Well, as we got as iHeart got bigger and they get sued a lot. It wasn't just that, they get sued every day. But we found ourselves to where we couldn't do the charity events that we used to do because of that. You can't just go, hey, I'm going to get on the air and talk about such and such, because you open yourself up now. Right. So this was something that I thought, I can still contribute to the community. My whole thing about Dripping Springs was, and we've all seen this, none of us are happy with what happened with the prices. Nobody is, you know. I mean, if you were selling and moving away, great. You
that
done
was
good.
the only scenario where it was a great thing.
As a realtor, you know exactly what I'm saying.
If you were moving to Idaho or something, boom, you were set. But
Yeah.
everybody else that wants to stay here or move here, it was a bad time.
But I know working with all the teachers and the firefighters and the sheriff guys, our constables and stuff, and hearing the stories about them, and I said, I could do something. I had 10 acres there in Harmon Hills, and I had this little spot down at the bottom, and I said I could build 3 affordable homes. And so I built 3 of these 1,100 square foot homes, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. And I found out that you can't designate who you're going to sell or rent to because free of the mark, you can't say specifically who you're at. So I said, this was I just said, okay, it's going to be affordable housing. So I'm going to be probably $1,000 under a month in free water and free electricity.
Jeez.
Wow.
So hopefully deputies or
podcasters, Michelle's moving in.
Broadcasters, report radio.
I'll take one. You take one.
But what was neat about it was I had so many other people contact me around just the state even and said, man, I think that's neat what you're doing. I pulled my money out of my 401k, and of course, materials. The day I started putting in the piers, and I'm building it myself. I'm physically building it myself. The day that I started, the materials went crazy.
I know.
And I'm over budget. I don't even want to look at it anymore. It was something like $200,000 over budget. So I'll be eating cat food, but somebody will be living in a nice. But my wife and I both. My wife was Jamie was right there with me in it and said, this is the right thing to do and to try to help a young couple and or 3 young couples or 3 teachers or 3 somebody trying to help them have a place that they could afford to live. They're all south of Kyle or an hour away. We got firefighters live in Bastrop because they can't afford to live.
Yeah, even Kyle and Buda now, prices are $400,000 to $500,000 to $600,000. We just sold one over there for almost $800,000 in Kyle,
right behind us. Yeah. And but it was, and I was complaining every day to my wife about the cost of everything. Just everything. And I was standing out there, and a deputy drove up, and he was looking at it, and he goes, "Man, I want that middle one." And I said, "Well, it'll be done. It's almost about 2 weeks out from being finished. I'm right there." And he said, "You know what this gives me?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "This gives me an hour a day with my kid, Bama, that I wouldn't get." So right then I said, "You know what? I'm shutting up. This is what we were." And then, of course, Chris Waters, the realtor that I represent, he comes to see them. Yeah. And Chris is like, "Well, I'll buy all of them for $1.5 million right now. $1.5 million." Wow. And I was, for a second, I wasn't a humanitarian. I was like, $1.5 million, that'd be pretty awesome. And then when I told Jamie, I said, "I just want to tell you this so that you and Bo, we can, when we next fight we have,
you can bring it up.
We could have had $1.5 million because of you trying to be a good person." But honestly, I believe in karma, and I believe karma would have got me for that. So we're gonna rent them. We're gonna a month rent, and we're gonna hang on to them, and just keep somebody to maybe they can put some college money back.
What I want to know is, as far as donations, do you like crunchy kibble cat food, or do you like mushy?
Bring me pet food. I'll take it to the pet food. I'll take it to the
I'm going to splurge and get you dog food.
That's nice. You'll be set. It's just, it comes with what you do. If you help, I always tell people, I go, if you help one event, if you just do one, the feeling that you get, you're the one that wins, and you come away and you feel so much better. Make-A-Wish, and I have a Make-A-Wish kid. Today's his birthday.
Aww.
And I'm so excited because he was a little funny guy. He said, "Doctor told me not to buy any green bananas." And I'm like, "Oh my, how do you keep that sense of humor?" But he had a brain tumor. He wasn't supposed to. You don't get on the Make-A-Wish list, because it doesn't look good. And he's now got a beard. I was looking at his picture today. He's got a full beard, and I'm going, he's a man, and he was a little kid. And that just, when you see him make it like that, and a lot of them don't, but it's that Make-A-Wish alone. Or if you want to do something, Alan's got the Meals on Wheels over there. Oh my gosh.
We were talking about that with Chuck.
Chuck Lamont.
Chuck. There's a guy there. And you guys, Austin is in Dripping especially, is so the Blue Bonnet Gals and all the things that everybody does here to help out. This is what's great about this community. We had parents come from everywhere. I used to laugh because I would make Kyle Chandler come to every event, and just so the moms would come. And the dads would get so mad at me. They'd go, "Oh, great, they're at another function because Kyle was there, But he was a great sport. I mean, he really is. And our daughters, our kids all went together with Sydney, and so he was like, what I need to do. He everything. He was a volunteer fireman, and I'll never forget when we had the fire up at Spicewood. He was up there fighting the fire.
Kyle Chandler was,
and I said, "Get over here! You don't need to. We got ugly guys for. You're
too pretty.
Don't burn that face,
don't get
man.
burnt.
Yeah,
don't get that face burnt.
I need that for other events. You send these fat guys up there. We have plenty of people to get up to the fire.
Fire fodder.
And then he had the boot one day. It was at the intersection.
Wow.
I said, "Get out of! You're going to get run over, and I need you."
His wife is very active in Patriots Hall. We just had Mary Jane Hetrick on, and that's an amazing organization also here. And Bama, you're so busy. You're always go, go, go. But you're also on this little TV show, Iron Resurrection.
Iron Resurrection.
You kind of like cars. And so this is where I sit back and let you two nerds talk about their
you were trying to figure out what your part is on that show.
I'm the Mr. Haney. If you go back and watch Green Acres,
Oh,
I'm the Mr. Haney from that. And that's telling my age. I'm 64. I knew the Martin brothers from their motorcycle days, working in radio media and doing stuff with them. And they had moved their whole operation here and started building cars out at next to Johnson City. And Joe was he called me and he came by and we were talking and he said, I need some funny on the show. And, my guys aren't funny. We
watched a couple clips and it was pretty funny.
It just is like somebody told me, they go, "There's a part you were born to play right there." And I always tell people, I go, the fact that I'm on television tells you just about how bad a shape this country's in right now. But what the funniest thing, the guy from it's Discovery, and this will be our 6th season coming up at the end of the month. And I'm usually on about 3 episodes a season. They just use me to fill in.
Yeah.
But the guy told me, he goes, "It's the #1 show on Motor Trend with 80 million viewers."
Holy cow.
And he said, "I dub you in German. I dub you in Farsi."
Oh, I want to see
my
this.
gosh.
And he said the guy in German keeps going, "This guy is not funny. I don't understand these jokes." But I've never seen one. A friend of mine was in the military, and he had come home and he had seen one.
Wow!
And he goes, "The guy doesn't get you at all, I don't think, because he can speak German, And he said, "But it's still you, And he said it made me feel like I was at home,
What made you get into cars?
Well, I grew up in Alabama. You got to drive a stock car in order to graduate high school.
Yeah.
That's the home of the Allisons. So
was it Bubba Wallace? Is that
Bubba just won this weekend? We were so excited that a person of color to actually get a real win.
Yeah,
it wasn't a rain shortened win. So we're diversifying because there's a huge audience out there of what we know as car people that we want to bring on board, and Michael Jordan was great about that. But I did drag racing. I did all cars.
You did,
and, And my claim to fame in the car world is for about a year and a half, I owned the John Wick Chevelle. So if you saw the John Wick movie, I had that. I bought the car.
One before it was all riddled with bullet holes.
I got they had what they called the stunt car. It was in 1 and 2, and I'm sitting in the movie with my best friend, and I said, I'm gonna buy that car right there. He said, you sound like a drunk guy. So our business is small, so I called around and I finally got a guy that knew a guy, and he said, I think you could get that car, and I got it, and they shipped it to me. Nicest people in the world. They gave me all kinds of documentation, and I would take it to the car shows around here, and did it for about a year. And what amazed me is the number of little bitty kids that had seen the John Wick movie.
Oh, God.
I go,
Have you seen any John Wick movies?
Yes.
Oh, my
He
God.
kills 1,000 guys.
Yeah,
I
know.
go, your mom and dad let you watch it. I just want my picture with it.
I know. He kills them with pencils and golf clubs, and it's like just everybody within range goes down.
I'm playing on my phone normally a lot of the times if Todd's watching movies
I
like
love
that.
the John Wick series. I think there's 4 now. I've watched them all.
Yeah, they're doing a 4th one and then a 5th one right after it. Now, a museum opened in New York City, and they ended up with it and the Mustang. It's a museum there that's about movies and things shot in New York.
Okay.
And so they wanted it, and I'd sold it to a guy in Nashville to pay for Alex's college. Don't worry,
First
honey.
semester.
Oh, I'm a lot happier in my Chevy Spark, honey. If you hear this, don't worry about it. That's a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun trying to get up to speed instead of speeding. But
hoping some F-250 doesn't run you over.
I've been stuck in some Dooley's wheel well out here, But
if you ever need to get into town, just put your thumb out. I'm sure somebody will let you.
Well, I can just put it in the bed of a truck and ride with him. But it's 35 miles a gallon because I'm cheap, and y'all know that.
So what's your dream car? If you could buy any car, what would it be?
Well, I'll tell you. I did buy it about a month ago. I bought a 32 Ford 5-window coupe.
Oh, geez.
It's just like the American Graffiti car. That was my car when I was a kid. I wanted that so bad and never could afford it. And I still can't afford it. And Jamie, I guess she's just now finding out about it. It's up there in my shop hidden. But
she doesn't visit your shop much?
No, she doesn't. And it'll be very comfortable to sleep in tonight, I'm sure.
It's okay. You've got a week because this doesn't go
this
out.
week's come out next week. Yeah, you can break it to her. Yeah,
I ain't afraid of her. I run. Let me look around. Make sure that guy.
Yeah. What do you think about electric cars?
I'm the guy that doesn't. I think it's way too soon, and I'm all for technology as long as nobody makes me do it. And then now, but here's the thing: I think we're all going to have to accept different things that we aren't used to.
You posted something, I think it was last week, that they're never going to make a song about an electric car.
That is so true.
Little Deuce Coupe, my favorite song. I've got one, 409 and all these Beach Boys. Nobody's going to be. So I wrote that one and sang it on the air about Tesla. And I'm waiting for Elon to sue me over that. So
he probably loved it.
But I mean, I think the technology could be there. I don't understand why we're not doing hybrids instead of it seems like those Prius, they had that down to,
they did,
65 miles a gallon.
Those things have been out for 15 years.
Yeah, I don't understand why that isn't the technology, but.
Why are they still so ugly, though?
They're pretty ugly, and it's bad because I insult every car manufacturer. When they come out with a picture on my Facebook page, I write on there how ugly I think that car is. And I'm never going to buy one, but at some point, we're all going to have one, I won't live that long, but y'all will.
The thing about electric cars for me is that it's like driving an iPad, it's like you like your Chevelle, that's a car you could keep for 30 years, right? Yeah. You're not going to buy a Tesla and keep it for 30 years. You're going to put 75, maybe 100,000 miles on it, and then let's throw it away and get the new one.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't think there's ever going to be any classic
disposable
Teslas.
cars. That's a good point.
I think it'll be lease. I think they'll end up just leasing everything because nobody can afford a $100,000 car.
But 30 years from now, there's not going to be a guy driving around in a Model S Plaid going, look at my classic car.
Nobody's ever going to say the words, "Hey, have you seen the new Prius that came out?" Nobody,
Not ever going to happen.
Some girl goes, "Look at him. He's in that whatever. Call it." They say a Spark now. I know for a fact I've heard them say it.
So what if the Dukes of Hazzard was remade today with an electric car? Like if they slid over the hood, they would just crush it.
Well, the Daisy Duke woman would be a man. Dressed just like Daisy Duke, right?
Maybe you don't know.
Well, Well, you probably wouldn't know. It would
wouldn't. Those Daisy Dukes.
He or she would walk in a little bar with those shorts on and say, "My pronouns are."
I want to make sure everybody knows we're not on KVET right now. So you asked me that. This is an interesting thing. We hardly ever, I don't go too far. I mean, I go too far sometimes, and I lean right, but I get after Abbott and these other guys. I go after them pretty hard. I have some fun. I know all these guys. So, but I did in the news about 6 months ago. I said, and I read it right off the Statesman's headline, word for word. I said, 18 Austin police officers could be indicted for their reaction for the mostly peaceful protest. Word for word off the headline from the Statesman. Yeah. We got 12 email complaints. 12. Now, I've never gotten 12 collectively over the years on something like that. But what's interesting about it, and my boss is a left-wing guy from Colorado, and so he called me and we're talking about it. He said 6 of the emails were right-wing people that thought I was actually saying mostly peaceful protest. So there wasn't anything peaceful about it. Let's be clear. If you watch the video, the other 6 thought I chuckled or made fun of mostly peaceful protest because that's me. But 3 of those, and this is a left-wing guy that pointed this out to me. 3 of them were bots. You could tell how they were written. he explained to me how they were written, because this guy's trained in this. He said that this the way the wording is. So 3 of them are automatically bots. And I think that's the point that, I had lunch with Dan Rather Monday.
I saw that. I saw your picture.
He's a great old friend of mine, back to the Connie Chung days I had him on. And we go back that far, and he's given me great advice over the years. He's just a good guy that I've met years and years ago. But he said it. America has lost its sense of humor, and he and I, you couldn't be further apart. He's way left and I'm way right, but I'm not way right, but he teased me about he goes, for a right-wing guy that builds affordable housing and drives a Chevy 35-mile-an-hour car, you seem kind of left. And I go, I want to be in the middle. I just want to be efficient, You
just want to live your life, for God's sakes.
But if someone says something or does something, I don't blow up. I don't get upset. Yeah. I just go, well, that's your opinion, and that's the way you feel.
That's your stupid opinion.
I know. I actually like to hear people with differing opinions that are based, in fact.
Right.
I actually want to hear their point of view, and I may not agree with it, but I want to hear it just because there are things in the world I don't understand. Maybe they have a better understanding than me. The people I don't like are, as soon as they figure out your political leanings, they don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't get that. I've never understood that.
Yeah. Why could you immediately discount that person because they're left or right? You don't because you don't know. You don't, first of all, like you said, you don't have all the facts.
Right.
If you had all the facts, you wouldn't be on the radio.
Yeah, everybody's journey in life is different, right? Yeah. We all get to the same place in the end, but we all get there on a different road. And, somebody's life experience is different than mine. I want to hear about their life experience.
That's exactly right. And that's kind of, the premise of the podcast is we were seeing all of the arguing that was going on in the Dripping Springs Neighbors page. And it always came down to politics. Oh, well, you voted for this person or you voted for that person. And our whole premise was like, look, man, let's just sit down. Let's break some bread with these people. Let's figure out who gives a crap what you do behind that curtain when you're voting, but let's see who you are, why you are, who you are, and have a better understanding of why you feel that way. And I feel like as a community, we can do better than that. And then sit these stupid arguments that you have on Facebook. And although I do participate in some stupid arguments.
She gets sucked in.
I like getting them started sometimes, and I've had fun.
You are an instigator like me. I just sometimes you just like to throw it out there.
Well, I try to be funny when I do something and say something funny. And like with Walt the other day, that they attacking Walt on his deal. He's gotten treatment, and point to the person that hadn't made a mistake. And I'd like to meet that person. But
everybody has.
The thing is, I've had more conversations with Walt. He's been the one guy that's come out there and looked at that affordable housing more than anybody ever did. 7 years ago on KVET, I went on the air and I said, they just passed 10,000 home building permits in Dripping Springs, Texas. Now, 7 years ago, I said this. Yeah. I go, we still have one intersection, 12 and 290. Will you add another 10, 20, 30,000 people out here? You're going to sit through the sequences. It'll be 10 sequences. Damned if I wasn't right about that.
That's the truth.
But do you go back and blame, the city managers? Nobody saw this coming. But I've had more conversations with Walt about affordable housing and about the water situation than anybody I know. And, the SOS can't wait to sue over it. But where are you going to drive? Where are you going to get water? This is not water for the future. This is water that needs to be here now.
So you continue seeing yourself, you and Jamie, just kind of living out your life here in Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
And unless she finds out about the car. Then you've about a week to live, give or take. But what do you hope? What do you hope for Dripping Springs here in the future?
Well, it's funny. The guy that's running for mayor right now, Kirk Watson, he went to Tokyo when he was mayor years ago, and he came back with the term called smart growth. And the radio station that I'm on, the show I was on, Sam and Bob, they just tore him a new one over smart growth. But he saw where we were headed in Austin and where we're headed now. Is if you have a really great place, people are going to want to come there.
Yeah.
If you have technology and you have jobs and you have everything, we have the whole package, and it ain't a secret anymore.
The word's out.
So how do we manage that? Do we tell people you can't come here? There's always the old saying about the developer wants to develop the woods. The environmentalist wants to have the last house in the woods and then stop the development. Everybody's right. So what we need to do, but also listen to the landowners that are here. We don't want them to lose their inheritance. We want them to get as much, but at the same time, there's got to be ways that we can flow the traffic, that we can induce building that's smart. My own personal thing, I think every house ought to have a rainwater collection. I think it should be mandatory to have a rainwater collection system if you have a yard, if you're going to put a yard in. I'm working on it right now, trying to get one put in my place. I think that's one of the things, because it's easier to get oil here now than it is water.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we got to do. And then the traffic situation. Yeah, nobody wants a road in their backyard. But right now I have the world's largest water tower literally across the street from my house.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I didn't throw a fit like with everybody. Well, you're going to get involved in that because of the country. It's the highest point in that area. Mm-hmm. It's needed. And it's just one of those things where, do I want it there? No. Does it bother me? No, because I know it's necessary to maintain what we're going to have. Or everybody's wells are going to go dry,
It's funny. Most of the time people get upset about the thought of things more than they get upset about the actual thing. So for example, the water tower.
Yeah, that is a smart
somebody that's lived there, right next to the water tower, it doesn't really bother me, but somebody moving into the area I don't want to live next to the water tower. Well, this person right next here has lived here for 10 years. They could care less.
Right. And it's funny. I mean, when you think about our house up there, it probably cut the value of my house in half. I mean, if you, with a potential buyer that could buy that kind of house goes, I don't want that. But do you stand there and go, okay, I don't want this. But at the same time, you have to realize there's going to be this growth in this area in order for all of us to live and the kids to be safe, to have good, clean drinking water, to everybody to have a nice place to live, a quiet place to live.
In a couple of weeks, the superintendent's going on a little tour of Dripping Springs, and they're going to talk about the bonds that are coming up for a new high school.
Right.
You want to watch Old Drip lose their mind.
I know. That's going to bring fireworks.
And I get it. I know that I wouldn't be in politics for nothing, but there's ways that you can be on the outside and still kind of help. But I think if you listen to someone's problem, you can start going, okay, I see this. But I had a friend of mine, he said, I came through Dripping Springs, but I didn't come see you because I was 45 minutes from the Ace Hardware to the Taco Bell. And I go, that is ridiculous, and you can't have that because we can't have our kids in that to me, that's a dangerous situation.
I'll tell you what, Colton first started driving, I guess that was 10 plus years ago. And man, a 290 was dangerous then. It's 10 times more dangerous.
Oh God,
now. I would hate to have a 16-year-old driving out on 290 right now. That's a nut house.
But we also have to face the affordability situation. It's probably as big a problem as our water. We want people to come here and work for us, deputies, teachers, firefighters.
Yeah.
But guess what? They can't afford to live here.
Yeah. You want to get a new HEB? Who's going to work that HEB?
Who's going to work it? Go to the restaurants.
Terry's, the whatever, the Panda Expresses, all the other stuff that's coming. You're right. The new high school. How are we going to pay for this? My brother's actually a coach at Sycamore, and he can't afford to live here in Dripping. So he lives by Slaughter and 35. So he drives 45 minutes or so to get to work at 5:30 in the morning for football. So it's just, it is a little crazy.
And they're never going to be able to put back some money because every check is going to go to trying to
can you see your Alex, like my own kids, they want to live here in Dripping Springs. The average cost right now in Dripping Springs is a little over $1 million.
Right.
My daughter, who makes a great money, 6 figures, can't afford to buy a home in her hometown.
Alex lives in her back bedroom where she grew up because she literally does because she can't afford to live here, and she's an attorney. But the one of the things and I was talking to Walt the other day, there's 7 or 8 developers that want to come here and do the micro homes. And it includes the rainwater, it includes zero escapes and all the things that we're talking about, zero lot lines. And this is where they're trying to sit down and communicate and figure out, can we do this? Is it viable? Can you do it without destroying why we moved to Dripping Springs. Can you do the
integrity?
Can you do both? It's not easy. It's not an easy solution. You know?
Do you remember Scenic Greens where McGregor?
Yeah.
There was a similar concept. It was very small lots, but they were like in pods. So it was, I don't know, a couple 100-acre ranch, and you'd have like 50 homes kind of in a pod, but it was surrounded by green space with trails and stuff. I don't know why that never got off the ground, but I thought that was a great concept.
Well, it's one of the things I know we're going to be facing is the cost, the material cost. It's never going to come back down like everybody, it's coming down. No, it's not. The development costs are going to stay the same because of the land. However, I think there's all kinds of directions we can go in and work together. The one thing you don't want to do is scream at somebody. Start by just sitting down and going, okay, we all agree. We want everybody to have a nice place to live. We want everybody to have a good education. We want everybody to be healthy and happy. So everybody wants that. There's no one out there. There's no one person listening to this
everybody
that goes,
I
don't want anybody happy. I want everybody. I want to have everything. So that's where you start. You agree on 90% of it. And then the other 10%, you just say, the technology is there. We can do this. And I proved it with the 3 I've got over there. They're going to be, at the most, I think, in somewhere around $2,600 a month, and I'm paying the electric no water.
You know where that, I agree with everything that you said. And the place where that normally falls apart is, how do you pay for it?
Right.
And so there's half the people say, well, we'll just confiscate it from these folks over here. They've got too much. And the other half are saying, no, because I want to keep a little bit more of what I got. That's where that usually falls apart, unfortunately. You ever thought about getting into politics?
I would never do that. But I've been, and it's funny because from Cornyn and Doggett, I know all of them work in these charity events, and to hear the horror stories they are. But at the same time, the real hard problems, there's no easy answers let's do this or just throw money at it. That's the other big thing is you go, well, we'll just like you just said, we'll just throw money at it. Well, the money doesn't fix it. You've got to have a willingness to do it correctly. And you might find that it can be done cheaper. Even where I'm at, I'm still good shape on the dollars.
I don't know. Mayor Bama sounds pretty good.
Oh my God! Don't ever say that. I would never.
You got my vote.
I'm mayor of Awesome Town. That's what I say.
You certainly are. I remember I used to MC the parade every year, and I got tired of doing it. I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore because it had gotten so big, and then. So one year they put the horses in front of the band. God. So I went on the radio and made fun of it, and Todd had to call me. Mayor Todd had to call me, and he goes, okay, I know you wanted this, but you are fired from the parade, calling the parade. And he said, we're going to let Penny do it.
You know that
I remember that year
tonight.
that went from you to her.
The homecoming parade is tonight.
Yeah, you don't.
Oh, my God.
Don't stay away from downtown.
Well, this was always with Founders Day. We tied it to Founders Day. And so every year I did it for years and years and years. And then every year I did the Meet the Tiger and all that stuff. Loved every minute of it. And those kids all grew up and they're grown men. You see them around here. This is a best community in the world. I mean, our kids are exceptional, and
we are the ones that are honored and just like, we couldn't ask for a better resident of Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
You're up there.
I thought you were about you. I was in total agreement.
I was talking, Michelle, you couldn't, I bought my own bench and I stuck it down on Mercer Street. It's Michelle's bench.
Well, let me tell you, I have messed up and said things, trying to be funny, trying to be and mad too. And I apologize. A blanket apology. I yelled at the Whataburger kids the other day.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
Bama.
You couldn't be. Let me take this opportunity to apologize
to the Whataburger kids.
To the Whataburger. I knew this was coming.
When I say pickles, I mean pickles.
They let the ketchup out. And then I'm going to remind everybody, the side door right there by the drive-thru is not an entrance to the Whataburger. That's into the kitchen. So I'm standing there in the kitchen and the manager and the kids said, well, here's what they said. All right, my defense.
Yeah.
Next time you need to go around. And I said, well, next time don't leave the ketchup out. That's what started the fight. Okay. And then they all wanted to say something.
Next thing you see, Ron Hood shows up.
Yeah. Oh my God, Ron! Don't ask Ron about me. But here's the bad part of that whole
Coming
deal.
Up next on next week's podcast.
Tries to clear up my. He knows my past. I don't really need Ron involved either. The one kid that did apologize, I went, yeah, whatever. And I will feel bad about that for the rest of my life. When he took the opportunity to be a professional and I was the jerk. And that's why I put it on Facebook. And I said, here's just, for those of you that think that Mr. Cool, easy guy doesn't, I'm just like anybody else. I get mad about over ketchup. That was the part that I'm going, I'm 64 years old. I'm yelling at a teenager over ketchup.
Were you really upset about the ketchup, or did you have something happen in your day that kind of made you on edge?
I don't even remember what it was. It had me already stirred up.
I find that with myself, that like, I give Michelle a hard time, and it's not about what she did. It's about something that happened in the morning.
Because obviously I don't do anything.
She never does anything.
You're mean to this angel.
It's never me.
It's kind of like road rage. It's never about the driving. It's always,
that's right. Your boss yelled at you and you take it out on some driver that's unsuspecting.
You see people that ruin their lives because of something that happened that had nothing to do with some poor guy driving that didn't do what, he didn't even know he did it, so.
I said that at the beginning of the podcast. I told Steve, I said that you should really thank all the stupid people that you've encountered in your life, because it's taught you how far you've come in your anger management skills. And who knew that this would transcend to yours?
I couldn't feel worse. I mean, these kids could be on, like I said, they could be on their phone playing around. They don't have to work, and they're up there working at a fast food place.
Yeah, it's a hard job.
The manager is trying to keep all of them there. Because,
and you're like, get off my lawn, give me some ketchup.
Cranky old guys. What about hashtag cranky old guys? So my big apology to Whataburger. Please go there, eat, tell them what a great job they're doing. Don't bitch about the ketchup no matter what, because I don't want to get, you're like that old part that was there last week. I don't want that.
How do you keep thick skin? Because as many people as hear your voice, and obviously you were telling us about the complaints, how do you keep the thick skin? Because that's something Michelle and I struggle with a little bit. We'll get 25 people tell us how great a job we're doing, and one person will say something negative, and we'll talk about it all day. How do you keep that thick skin?
It's interesting because in our business, and y'all are lucky that y'all have this here. You don't have 15 program directors above you that could never do the job, or they wouldn't be program directors. I always said that. If you were good, you'd be on the air. But that's a whole nother thing. But I try to learn from everybody. And it used to in the old days, when somebody say something, I go, and I fire back at them. And then I started listening to some of these people, and I said, that guy's got a point, maybe, and you start, and that just comes with age. I think you start getting to where you listen to people and you try to be better. And I try not to blow up, but I've had people that'll just push it just because, once again, you don't know what's going on in their world, but I'm going to take it out. I've had people that when you say stuff you think people will complain about, you never get a complaint, and it's something that you wouldn't in your life go, how did you get that from that? I couldn't have, in my head, that wasn't in my thinking, but it's just, but I always tell people, tell me, don't just, don't just not tell me. I had a lady mad at me one time for 5 years because I was at the rodeo. She told me, and she finally found me and told me she was at the rodeo. And she said, I was there to see so-and-so, and a vendor was not happy, and we were a big sponsor of the rodeo. So I got down under the bleachers. I was underneath, and this guy was, I can't remember what his complaint was, and I was trying to, let me work on that. Well, that voice was carrying up, because I have this carrying voice.
Yeah.
And it ruined her rodeo show.
Oh, my gosh.
5 years she's mad. I would have, and so she finally started telling me this. And I go, so you've hated me I hate your guts over that. And I go, I didn't even know. And so there's a lot of that, I've got actresses and actors on TV that I don't like. And you go, well, what did Rob Mopar, you say?
Yes.
What exactly did he do to you? Did he won a stock car race, but you hate him? Is that right? And I go, he won the race on TV. I hate his guts over that. And you go, how does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, that's the reason for this show. Because if you knew about that guy's family and where he grew up, and that somebody that he grew up with, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see him as a human being, not just some race car driver.
So, Bama, what's next for you? Like, what do you see this How long are you going to be on the radio? How long?
That's an interesting question because I up until this year when Heather left and I was there by myself, I'm not a DJ. You know that. I'm a sidekick. I'm not a DJ. And me sitting there going, hey, this is coming up. You know, I never could do that. I'm worse now than I was 35 years ago. But
from Acapulco.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe Acapulco was a good place. Anyway, there's a plug for them. So I told my boss, I said, I can't do this in here by myself in this closet, just talking to myself. It ain't happening, you know? And he said, well, we're going to get you, just hang in there. And so when he called me and he said, I've got a chance for you to get Wendy and Tay. And they're young. They have this huge energy. They already have their own, 32 and 42. They already have their own national syndicated program that plays on weekends.
Weren't they just nominated for something?
Both of them nominated CMAs for one of the shows they do. They do shows all over the U.S. So for them to come in and me get to work with them, but they've been music focused.
Look, they get to work with you.
Well, I think that's debatable, but it was, and I knew of them, and they knew our business real small, as you know. Yeah. So it was an opportunity to get to work with someone. And as I don't want to say I'm training my replacements, but at some point you want to leave KVET the same way that I found it from Sammy Allred. To say, I always kept Allred's chair. People know this. I always kept Allred's chair empty and to my left. I wouldn't sit in his chair. I'd sit in the one next to it, and I always kept his empty. And whenever a guest came in, I'd make them sit over on the other side. And I said, that's a guy, him and Bob Cole, they put KVET on the map. Penny Reeves. I replaced Penny, and she spent 2 weeks building me up without ever saying my name. So when I came in, you wouldn't have had a better transformation. And those are the people that I look up to as, that taught me, and I learned so much from Sammy. And I'll let a little secret in about Sammy that people don't know. I've been in there with him and Cole couldn't remember what side of an argument they took the day before. It was a lot of show there, because I remember one time talking about stock car racing. Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace got in a fight in Victory Lane, throwing water bottles. The next day, one of their pit crew guys I knew, they were fishing together the next day. Yeah. And you go, hey, wait a minute, there's some show, there's some WWE going on here. And that's just good for business. And so that's why I always kept Sammy's chair empty, because I want to make sure the people that take KVET, because it is such a great radio station. I'm so honored to be on there for the second time. I put Alex on there 2 weeks old when I was on there before. Oh, my God. And she wouldn't make any noise, so I squeezed her. And my partner said, don't squeeze the baby. Don't squeeze the baby. On radio, but 2 weeks old. And then, and then those memories where she would call me the first day of kindergarten. She called me, and she called me every first day of school until her last semester at Baylor Law. And, those are memories that you just, and all the Make-A-Wish kids and all the school kids and all our kids here and all the things that we got to do. That's as Robin Williams said, that's the good stuff. Yeah, that's the good stuff. And I only hope that anybody out there listening can get that out of their job or their life or their
Life's
family.
Too short not to get that.
Absolutely.
It goes by too fast.
And everybody deserves it. And I just think every time you're mad at somebody, try to think of something good or some good in them. Dusty Black always told me, count to 10. He said, I know it's stupid, but if you'll count to 10, because in the end, you're still going to have to apologize and they're still going to be dumb.
I can't tell you how many times over the years somebody has texted me or emailed me something and I'll read it and I'm like, I'm firing something back. And then I get to the end and I hit the period and I go, okay, I'm just going to delete all that because there's nothing good going to come out of that.
Write it, maybe get it out of your system, but then
don't send
it, because you're still going to be the one that's apologizing and they're still going to be
the Whataburger kids for the ketchup.
Oh my God, Whataburger! It's 64 years old fighting over ketchup. Yelling at, I didn't yell, but, you know.
I have to say that whatever your next chapter is, Bama, I'm sure it's not going to be a quiet chapter. So we're going to look forward to that.
I'd still enjoy restoring old cars. I did a bunch of them for veterans, so I'm probably going to keep doing that because there's nothing more fun than a veteran thinking he's going to have a $20,000 bill and you go, hey, you were in Vietnam, 68, on me, and that you can't, you just like this ad says, you can't put a price on it.
No, that's true.
Or anything where I can help with kids or affordable housing. I really want to, I've talked to Walt and some other people, and there's a lot of developers that called me and that are interested in this. And everybody, I think of micro housing, and don't take it like that. You're going to be living in a cell. In a nice, smaller home that's efficient. I think that's the future for a lot of people, because
I think you're right.
You don't want a big yard to have to take care of. You want to be able to.
I think we've gone down a really bad path in this country where two people, a husband and a wife, or husband and husband, or whatever, live in a 4,000 square foot house all by themselves. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Stop looking at me, Steve.
That's just, no.
Stop looking at me.
Growing up, that was the dream.
I know. But when I was growing up, we lived in 1,200 square foot houses. Right. There was 4 of us, my mom and dad and me and my sister, and we were perfectly fine, right? You know, but now.
Look at you now. Are you perfectly fine?
I am not perfectly fine. But I live in 1,600 square feet, and I probably have 500 square feet I don't need.
Well, guess what? At the wedding, how many people did I spend the night at my house? 17 people. Yeah. I'm a freaking Holiday Inn Express.
She is a Holiday Inn Express.
Well, does it fit everybody? Once again, you're having to be flexible.
I'm a Holiday Inn Express.
But my first house was 900 square feet.
Yeah.
And as I was standing in these ones that I built, I went, I'd be thrilled to live
totally
here.
happy. I see that all the time.
And I think that's what we're going to look at, and I think young people feel that way.
Adjusting.
If you think about it too, the taxes are less, the heating and cooling is less. I mean, it's just
what I spent for my 4,000 square foot house is You
couldn't buy a house. You probably couldn't even buy a trailer on half an acre now for that price.
I couldn't. Well, you know what, Bama? I'm going to say you just keep living life large, and we are just thrilled that you came on here and spent your afternoon with us.
I got one more question for you.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Your 35 years of experience, what kind of tips do you have for us?
Well, I've heard y'all. I think you're better than I am right now. No, you're interested. You ask good questions. I'm a terrible interview. I never have been good because I just drone on and I throw all this stuff in there that doesn't really help. You'd think somebody did this, but it's funny because you care. And and you can hear the energy in it, and you care, and that's what I was missing. Honestly, that's what I was missing in the last couple of years. As you've done something for so long, and it becomes a job, and it should never be a job. And Rob and I both felt it towards the end. Heather, and then when just Heather and me, Rob retired, and then Heather retired, and we both just. It was like it became a job, and you go, man, I need that energy, that change. And these young people have brought it. And I get up to Tay and I just smell her hair. I just want to breathe in that young.
I know.
You remember from Everybody Loves Raymond when the dad would hold the baby? You go, I want that youth.
So I guess we need a young person in here to smell or squeeze a baby.
Well, don't squeeze a baby on the radio. First of all, that's my advice. Put that one. I would put that right at the top. Don't squeeze a baby or anyone.
You got to write that down, Michelle. There's the title of the show. Don't squeeze the baby on the air.
There it is. Don't say that. Don't say those words. I've had that happen. That was not good. The fines are huge. I've only had one complaint with the FCC, but in my defense, the guy threw a python from Ringling Brothers around my neck. And
I think I would have had an expletive for that.
Well, I did. And he was French and didn't understand English, but he understood what I was saying.
He understood the look on your face.
French. It turns out a lot of that language started in French. And so he got the python off of me. But it wasn't before FCC got an actual complaint. But fortunately for me, someone took a picture of it with this, and I still have it with this. It was an albino anaconda. Oh my gosh. And they looped it around my neck. And I don't like snakes as much as you can not like
Especially
snakes.
one that squeezes you to death around your neck.
And his head was this big, and he was staring at me, and he was going, sweetheart. Anyway, the FCC guy calls. I have a conference call, and I'm sitting there, and Dusty, again, poor Dusty. And then they fax the picture to him. That's back when they had a fax. They faxed the picture to him, and Dusty has the picture. And to bless Dusty's heart, he goes, I got to tell you, I'm with Bama on this one. And the FCC guy starts chuckling. He goes, we've never had a complaint. Let's just call it a warning and go on. There will be no fine. But
lucky for us, we're a podcast. We don't fall under the FCC.
You want it. But it's coming. Don't
the FCC on our show is my mom.
Yeah,
she calls me and she says, "Hey, can you get Michelle to stop saying the word ass, please?"
Yeah. It's funny. What's acceptable, what isn't? I always said it was the clients that decided. The ones that had the commercials, they're the ones. I'm more worried about them than they are the FCC. But the FCC fines now are. The really big ones are about $100,000. It can be, Wow.
Well, just as a surprise guest right now, we'd like to bring in the Whataburger worker.
Yes, everybody gets a free punch. Oh my God! so embarrassed. I shouldn't even have brought that up. No, you brought it up.
They're gonna be playing it over the sound system at the restaurant tonight.
What a bunch of forgiving and great kids over there, and the manager, wonderful people. And, you know.
A lot of people started out at that Whataburger.
Oh, absolutely. Good folks.
Bama, man, I really enjoyed this. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, I had a blast, and anytime I really enjoyed it. And if you were listening and you were offended, I'm easy to find. I'm usually at the cafe every morning, and I back it up with, hey, tell me what you're thinking. Yeah. And let, you know, and if you've got a future situation growing, I'm telling you, the people want to hear about it. These city managers and stuff, they're open eared about whatever.
They are.
But don't whine and go, I don't want this and I don't want, because it's coming.
Solutions. You might have a complaint about something and then you offer a solution. Don't just come and complain.
I'm going to give Steve's mom Bama's email address to
you. She's going to send the complaints to you.
I was sitting with SOS yesterday with this meeting with SOS, and I just told them, I said this to them 20 years ago. I go, saying we're going to keep it from coming is not working. The developer people have more money than you can ever imagine. Mm-hmm. They're going to get it eventually. Why not control it?
That's right.
With the people that live here and work here. You'd be amazed what these guys like. Well, these developers, they don't want to build bad. They want to be good guys. They don't want to sit in the courtroom or down there at the permit office trying to sneak something through.
I'm with you. But we're going to ask you back on again sometime in the future. This was a lot of fun.
Anytime. I had a great time. I love you guys.
Yeah, I love you too, Bama. Thanks for coming in.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
Thanks for listening.
If you have comments or feedback, please email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Mallet and Michelle.
Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
Please follow us and leave a review.
Thanks again for listening.